So today, I'll be showing you how to make like a DIY little thing where you have is right here, 4 switches that will control the light switches over here with servos. So you don't have to put in any relays, run any risks of burning your house down with relays, and there's not going to be any mismatch because they're momentary switches. So you click it down and it'll push it down. You click it up and then it'll pull it back up. And so I've started prototyping here. So we have here just some current limiting resistors for these LEDs, some pull down resistors for the input. And these LEDs aren't actually gonna be in the circuit. This is just simulating like some pulses to this. So like, let's say we go up on this switch right here. It's kind of hard to do with one hand, but it turns that LED on. So that would be simulating this moving 90 degrees that direction. And we pull this back and it turns the other one on, which would be simulating this servo moving the other direction. And so now all I gotta do is figure out how to do PWM in Arduino code so I can send a PWM signal instead of lighting up the LEDs. All right, so came up with the first problem. So I was originally gonna try and use Arduino's PWM to do the PWM for the servos because that's how they work. You give them 5 volts ground and a PWM signal to turn it, but Arduino is stuck on 500 hertz, and you can change it, but it's really complicated. And for our Arduino or our servo, it wants a 50 hertz period PWM. So yeah, I struggled to try and figure out how to change it, but instead what I ended up doing is just making my own PWM just custom with the Arduino. So it's pretty simple actually. So if it wants it to be a 20 millisecond wave, so all we have to do is shows right here that we want a 1 millisecond high and the rest would be low. So it'd be 19 milliseconds low. So we write it high, we wait 1 millisecond while it's high, then we turn it low and we go for the rest of the 19 milliseconds, and then that just keeps repeating. So far we have this. All right, so now I've got it set up where you just click this once, it goes that way, that'd be turning it off, and that'd be turning it back on. And then if we want to switch it manually, like with an actual light switch, then this would just move like with it. It's pretty hard to use with one hand, but like put it over here and it'll just go right back. So yeah. So like even if it gets messed up like right here, it will fix itself. All right, so the next step we're gonna do, so I'm gonna make the wooden mounting plate for this. I'm gonna be taking this plastic one off and I'm going to make a wooden one that just goes up a little bit more to give me the room to put an Arduino and the motors and stuff. All right, so I used the old faceplate to trace out this right here and for the holes and the slots, and I'm just giving myself a little extra room to put all the electronics up here. Yeah, these holes aren't my best work ever, but they'll do. So yeah, it's on there pretty good. I think I need to cut a little bit more around this one, give this some more space, because I don't think it's really clicking in all the way. Yeah, you can tell that it wasn't fully clicked up. So I'm gonna have to give a little bit more room in these guys. Clean these up with some files and I'll check back in with you. Okay, here's our holes now. Plenty of clearance. So yeah, that's gonna work good. Side note, these are the screws that held on the old faceplate. And I am gonna have to go to the hardware store and pick up some longer ones because that's not gonna work at all. Okay, the next step we are going to do is drill a tiny little hole through the actual part of the light switch you touch, so we can feed a paper clip through there. And that paper clip is gonna be the linkage between the switch and the servo. Now I have both these servos wired up. So next I'm going to put this all here onto a strip board that I can mount onto my base plate. I'm just wiring up this Arduino on this pegboard. This pegboard's super annoying. These pads keep lifting. See it right there? That one in the middle, it's the copper traces just keep lifting right off. It's super cheap, so pretty frustrating. This is gonna probably take the longest amount of the tedious work. I've got still a bunch of stuff to do, so yeah. Just quite a bit later, I've just completely given up on all organization here. Here we have a common ground for all the grounds. Over here we have some plus 5 volts. And then I just have these headers right here where these servos just they plug right on there like that, just straight to the board. So yeah, it's for the most part done. I still have to, the inputs aren't done. None of the inputs are done, but they come from the other box. So I kind of have to do that stuff before I can do that. And then other than that, yeah, it's pretty much done actually. Yeah. So I just cut out the switch panel and painted it black. I'm going to do some little drawings on it with a silver Sharpie when it's done. Hopefully it'll look good. But yeah, these switches just pop through there. And then I have bolts. They're gonna kind of act as standoffs. Put a nut and a washer over here. Put the panel on another nut and washer. And then I'll have a back. Probably it'll just be wood. Be the back. And then yeah, I'll just put this on my nightstand right there. It's gonna hold the switches and the little bit of circuitry that goes on this side. So I just got the wire I'm gonna use. It's just really thin speaker wire. Nothing very special. It's cheap, that's why I got it. Because I need a lot of it. So next I'm gonna try and measure the voltage drop across it to figure out how much current my power supply is gonna have to handle to send 5 volts all the way to here. Then after that, the switch panel is drying. Once that dries, I will start wiring up the switches and stuff. So I got the switch inputs soldered in there. I'm gonna put some banana plugs on the end of these guys so I can plug it in, plug it out. Here's how this came out. These spots, I think it got messed up because I left it outside to dry and then condensation got all over it, so it's kind of messed up, but it's fine. Actually, I don't think that's dried all the way yet because so we're gonna wait a little bit longer, let this dry, hopefully look a little bit better, but I can always just do another coat. But yeah, that's where we are. So banana plugs didn't work, these wires are too small, so I ended up just going with I soldered these guys on there, and then I shrink wrapped it, so these are good. And then got these connections in here. Come on, focus. These in here. So yeah, next step, start working on this panel, and that's still not drying, so I'm just gonna work around it, I guess. I guess it's just gonna have to do. One of them's the wrong size, so I'm going to have to go back to Ace and get the right size. I'm gonna wire these switches up, and on one end I'm gonna put these guys, which will plug in to those. Okay, so I got these guys fabbed up. Basically all it is this soldered on there with some heat shrink around it, and then these will go on the back of the switches. So I got all these soldered up. I'm going to use, where did it go? Okay, I lost it. That's what I'm doing. I'm gonna use this jack, but I did not get enough wire. I need another strand to run the power and ground to the Arduino from here. So tomorrow, I'm gonna wake up, go grab this other bolt, and grab some more wire. Got more cable to run the power. I didn't get enough. I had enough to run the switch signal wires, but I didn't have enough to run power and a ground, so I had to grab more. So I'm gonna put this on. I'm gonna solder up some connectors to this, and then we'll start the final assembly of everything. Positive rail, bridge to both sides. I've got this one soldered in here. I've got this connector on the other end. Next, I need to find a USB cable that I'm using this brick right here. So I need a USB cable that goes in here, and then I'm gonna cut the other end and solder the positive end to here and the negative to this. And then this goes all the way around to the other room, and this plugs into this right here. So, yep. So here's the first test. The only thing that's not how it's gonna be in the final product is instead of this cable, it's just gonna be a straight USB cable. But as you can see, this is plugged in here, and that goes all the way here into the Arduino, and this goes all the way to the Arduino as well. And here we go. So just imagine that's on the light switch. So yeah, it's working pretty good. This is our victim for dissection here. I'm gonna take it apart, and this will be powering everything. Plug it into there and get into there. Yep, should be good. So I just plugged it in and measured, and these, the red and the black, have 5 volts between them. So yeah, this is gonna work, and I'm plugging these in as like a buffer, because I know if I try and solder these tiny, here's my finger for reference. If I try and solder these tiny little cables, they're just gonna melt up and burn. So I'm much more comfortable with trying to solder these on. And then I can also take these out if need be, if I need to unconnect this. So yeah, just gonna solder this up to there, and we'll be ready for final assembly. Got it all wired up with its permanent source. Let's see how much it's pulling whenever we, how many amps it's pulling whenever we switch. What's that? About 200 milliamps. So that's not much at all. So we should be fine with what we've got going on here. Yeah, looks good. So got this mounted, got this, some standoffs, and I mean, hot glued on there. Pretty solid. I mean, that's never gonna undergo any load, so it's definitely more than good. I try and tape this so in case this gets snagged, it doesn't rip out, but I don't know how it's gonna work. I'm just gonna try and make sure it doesn't get snagged. But the beauty of it is, if it does get snagged, I can fix it. So yeah, let's come over here. I just drilled my holes in my nightstand where I'm going to mount the switch. About to vacuum up the dust. And yeah, once I get this mounted in here, I'm going to run the wires and then calibrate where the servos need to be to flip the switch correctly. And then we're done. After that, we're done the calibration phase. As you can hear, they are working. So what I'm doing here, so I'm just, cause like, there's a few things can go wrong if you mount them wrong. And also my little linkage, I had to make some adjustments. So now I'm just fine tuning with the physical link between switch and motor. And this tape isn't permanent. This is just for, you know, moving it around. I think I'm gonna super glue it. I think that's what I'm gonna go, super glue all around the edge, and then it'll definitely be strong enough. So yeah. All right, let's give this a first test run. I think I've got it in there good. I think it worked. Huh. Look at that. You might be wondering, like, wait, that drawing isn't matching up with it actually being on and off. And probably not. Honestly, I don't know, because I'm not really worried about it. Because all I have to do to fix that is swap 2 wires back here. I just gotta flip them, and then it's good. So yeah, waiting for this super glue to dry. I don't really know how long it takes, but then I'm going to put more super glue on and start on the light switch. Yeah, keep you updated. So I've got the light switch one all hooked up. Let's give it a shot over here. Oh, nice. It's pretty quick. All right, super glue that in, and we'll run these wires and get them all taped up so they don't get snagged. Permanently put that in and make sure that the symbols match up with the actual lights, and then call it done. Switches down here, this is just not, so it's not gonna go up because it just won't. So I added these, so these are gonna act as our manual light switches. I'm not gonna do it right now because the glue's still drying. But next, gotta run these wires, get it all taped up and nice, and then we're done. All right, so this is my first tape run. There's a little slack in here. Down, across. Yep, blue tape doesn't look too great, but it's fine. Next, we gotta go behind my bed. All right, so it's done. Got this going along here, behind the bed to right here. Have this in here nice and neat. Yep, so that's it. Thanks for watching.